Welcome back. We're here to talk about Sunday's Premier League match between Swansea and West Ham United. Pascal, we've got to start with the home side. Heartbreaking defeat to Man City last time out.
Really was. 92nd minute winner from City after Swansea had scored in the 90th minute, seemingly to get a point. And what a massive point it would have been. The first game since they sacked Gary Monk, Alan Curtis took caretaker charge, and you go to City. I mean, City haven't been probably their best in recent weeks, but no one would have given Swansea a chance there, and they go there. They played quite well. They conceded the first goal to Bonney from a corner, always disappointing, especially against your former player like that to concede the way they did. But they came back second half, held them off quite well, and then Gomez ended his goal scoring drought. It was his first goal in 12 Premier League games. He scored there, got it to 1-1, and you could just see the sense of relief among the players. They really seemed to be celebrating as if they had got the point, and then the goal they conceded was so unlucky. Yaya Torres shot, hit Iheanacho, and then looped over. Nothing Fabianski could do about it at all, and so unlucky. And that, where that leaves them in the table, it is unfortunately another defeat. Just 1 win in 12 now, and they're really struggling.
Yeah, there were obviously big positives to take out of that. The performance was better, pushing City so close, and then only losing, as I mentioned, in heartbreaking fashion to a deflected goal. Really harsh on them in the end not to get anything out of that game. But Alan Curtis, obviously, there was an improvement from the latter days of the Monk era when they weren't really performing too well. They didn't look too interested at times in the match. So it was an improvement on there. But as you mentioned, cold hard fact of the matter is it was another defeat. 17th now, only out of the relegation zone on goal difference. And you think sacking Monk at this time of the year is not an ideal time, the festive period, to be without a manager, is it? And to be going through all this upheaval. This chairman's Hugh Jenkins is out in South America looking for a manager. Marco Bielsa is the favourite for that, and I think he would be a pretty good manager. He's pretty high calibre. He's had some big jobs in the past, likes of Marseille, Bilbao, Argentina. I think he was with as well. So he's managed some big players. He's had some big jobs in the past. So that would be a bit of a coup to get him, I think. But I think they do need to get someone sooner rather than later, because the festive period is always so vital in English football. So many fixtures coming thick and fast, and Alan Curtis, he'll be pretty buoyed by what he saw again for the Man City game, and I think he'd be up for the challenge of keeping a few more games. But for the sake of Swansea as a club, to keep them settled, to keep the players settled, I think they need to bring a new manager in sooner rather than later.
Yeah, Jenkins seems to be going for that sort of South American, doesn't it? It's either Bielsa or Sampaoli or Unai Emery, Gus Poyet, all those kind of Hispanic kind of coaches. Maybe he thinks that's the way to go because they've had success under Laudrup, Brendan Rodgers, Gary Monk as well. But maybe he just feels like a change of tact is needed. But it'll be interesting to see who they sign in January. I mentioned there that Gomez, he did end that goal drought, but we're still, he's not all that convincing in games, is he? I've seen they've been linked with a January move for Brighton striker Tom Mohamed, who he's had his first season in England. He came here and he's really impressed in the Championship. Brighton obviously still unbeaten there, so if they went for him, he's quite a good all-around striker. He can do all sorts of things. I'm not sure if he's the kind of replacement you want who's going to score maybe 10 goals in the second half of the season. I'm not sure it's quite that ambitious a move, but like you said about Swansea, I think the problem with them at the moment, they were so close to getting that point last week, but where it leaves them in the table, you just look at the other teams. Bournemouth and Newcastle both had those really good results recently, and Swansea 17th in the table is astonishing, really, considering where they were. We've talked so many times where they were after that United game in August, but for them, 1 win in 12 since then, it's not good enough. And at home especially, they've won none of their last 6 Premier League home games. They've failed to score in 4 of those. You've got to score at home, haven't you? Really, even if you're on a bit of bad form and you draw in a few games, you have to score. And obviously, if you don't score, you don't win. It's a terrible cliche, but you have to. And if they're not doing that with Gomez, they need something in January. They obviously do, and you just wonder who they're going to sign.
I think they'll come into this match more confident of victory than many in recent weeks, though, because although West Ham have had a good season, and we've talked many times about the results they've had away from home in particular, especially those first 3 away games they've had this season, they're not in great form at the moment. No win in 6 games now, and that followed a 0-0 draw against Stoke at the weekend, and that was a real good game. It didn't a lot more entertaining than the scoreline suggests. That one, plenty of shots on target. I think West Ham had 11 themselves, couldn't get the goal, and then both sides hit the woodwork. Arnautovic with his deflected free kick, and I think it was Koyate had one cleared one off the line for West Ham as well. So Stoke had their chances, West Ham had their chance as well. They hit the post, so it could have gone either way. There could have been a lot more high scoring. Probably in the end, a point apiece was a fair result, but Butland was forced into many saves. So positives to take from that one for Slaven Bilic, but again, more drop points, and they need to improve their no wins in 6, as I say, but 4 of those have been draws. If they can start turning some of them into a few victories, then they might get back where they were towards the start of the season. They're still 8th in the table, very much in that cluster of teams in mid-table, looking towards the top 6, the European places, but turn a couple of those draws into victories and they'll be right up in there alongside the likes of Tottenham, likes of Palace at the moment, who are doing very well.
Yeah, I think they're one of the top half teams, West Ham, who have just stuttered in recent weeks. It's back-to-back 0-0 draws after the one. It was an impressive one they got at Old Trafford, but they would have quite fancied beating Stoke because Stoke, one of the teams chasing them just now. We couldn't do it there, but they're only 2 points behind 5th place Spurs, so they're still right there, and you just wonder if they're going to be able to cope. We've talked about the festive period, how important it is. They've got 4 real key players out injured: Sakho, Payet, Reed and Moses. All 4 of those definitely out of this one. Lanzini could be back, which would be a big boost then, because when Payet first got injured, Lanzini did seem to fill that gap there and scored a couple of goals, made a couple of goals, so he was important for them there. But they just need to get out of this rut. Like I said, no winning 6 and 3 draws in a row as well. So it's like many of the other teams in the top half, they have been stuttering, but if they really want to maintain that top half charge, when you see what Watford have been doing, you'd expect maybe Southampton to improve. Stoke have been playing well recently, so they just need to sort of string together a few wins, like you say. And their next 2 games, they're both away from home, but Swansea and Villa, 2 of the bottom 4 sides. Obviously Villa right down there at the bottom, so they've had some tough runs, but the next 2 fixtures, I think they'll fancy their chance of getting some points on the board.
Do you fancy their chance of winning this weekend?
I think it could be a 4th draw in a row for West Ham. I think Swansea, I can't really see them winning here, to be honest. West Ham should go there more confident than them, but I think West Ham haven't been all that convincing themselves recent weeks, so I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw here.
It's going to be an interesting match to see how Swansea play. I think Alan Curtis will probably be in charge again, even if a new manager is appointed, but then he'll probably be watching from the stands for this match. So it'll be interesting to see how they perform again under that, how they bounce back from such a big disappointment against Man City. I think I'm going to go for a West Ham victory here, though Swansea's form is poor. West Ham, they've had some good results on the road, as we've mentioned, so I think I'm going to go for a 2-1 West Ham victory. So I'm going for 1 West Ham win and a draw. Thanks for joining us.